without further ado, let's jump in. Meet Wings. Wings is a 1997 Toyota Hiace long wheelbase, 2.8 litre diesel, 5-speed manual. In a previous life, Wings was a tradie van, working hard, lugging and hauling. Wings has now bloomed into his true life's calling, an adventure van, free as the wind. Design-wise, we wanted to keep the fit-out simple, minimal and spacious, but also minimise on any added weight, fitting only the bare essentials, including the kitchen sink. I opted for Aluminium Tube framing for the cupboards and bed. It's super lightweight and easy to assemble. The cupboard doors and drawers are all made of 9mm MDF, sealed with exterior house paint. The floor is 12mm plyboard, sealed with tung oil. The overhead pantry was probably the most difficult part of this install. It's fitted to the overhead crossbars instead of the wall, resulting in a super solid fit. The fridge is a 38 litre 12-volt Engel, powered by a 130 amp-hour battery box, fitted behind the driver's seat. The battery box takes charge from the alternator, as well as solar, and is connected to a 300-watt inverter for charging 240-volt devices. The sink tap is a classic hand pump style that draws from a 25 litre removable water tank. I've made a point of keeping all of the mechanical panels accessible, just in case of a breakdown. The lower walls are insulated with earth wool, the upper walls treated with rubber foil sound barrier. Under the floor is insulated with FoilBoard. The walls are covered in felt, the ceiling in repurposed curtain fabric. The lights and fans are all USB rechargeable to minimise on electrical wiring. The bed is double size with a memory foam mattress. The drawers reach deep under the bed from both ends and simply slide on the pine floor, set in from the back of the van to make space as a shelf. Also a rechargeable sensor light, which is really handy at night, and little stash cupboards to the sides with magnets to keep them shut. For airflow, I fitted a rotary vent in the roof. In hindsight, this could have been bigger, especially if you're travelling into warm areas. Also on the roof, a 2.5 metre awning and 440 litre storage pod. Highly recommended. I'll be sure to post a gear list in the description below with links to research and purchase items if you need. The exterior of the van was in good condition, but the interior required a lot of love. All of the walls needed degreasing and cleaning. There were also heaps of holes and surface rust on the floor that had to be sanded and treated using rust guard paint. I then filled the holes with metal putty after sealing. I treated most of the panels, including the roof, with sound guard, which stops vibrations, road noise, and also works as an insulation. I highly recommend using this on the wheel guards to stop road noise and exhaust. Absolutely worth the time. Next step is the floor frame. This acts as a buffer between the floorboards and the insulation. I use liquid nails and self-tapping screws to fit the frame. Be careful to consider where you can put the screws in your floor so that you don't drill into something that you'll regret. I made sure to take photos of the frame layout, as well as marking the strips on the wall with gaffer tape. You'll need to refer to these after you fit the floorboards. Once the floor frame is in, I cut FoilBoard to fit the gaps between the frame. Each segment is individually measured to fit tight. The FoilBoard is then secured with foil tape. The floorboard is 17mm plyboard. I was lucky there was an old rubber mat covering the floor of the van when we bought it. I was able to trace around this onto the plyboard, making the job relatively easy. I was also incredibly lucky to have some friends with a workshop and some tools that I could borrow. A huge shout out to Remy, Scott and Sam at Remington Matters in Adelaide. I'll link you to their website in case anyone is after some top-end furniture design. Once I got the floorboards to fit, I mapped out where the screws would go, using the gaffer tape marks as a reference. I applied some liquid nails and screwed the floorboards onto the floor frame. We then sealed the floorboards with tung oil, a natural tree oil which is non-toxic and will protect the floor from sun and water damage. Onto the bed and cupboard frames. Using aluminium tubing is a little more expensive, but it uses up a lot less space and is super lightweight. It's also very simple to cut and to assemble. It's important to file the insides of the cut tubes to protect the connectors. Assembling the frame is fun, but still a bit of a challenge. They're quite hard to undo if you make a mistake. The trick is to assemble one dimension at a time. It's hard to explain, but you'll be fine once you get your head around it. I decided to separate the bed frame into two sections, just to make it easier to fit. It's super satisfying when you finally drop it in. I decided not to have wooden walls inside the van. Instead, the plan was to carpet the interior. So the next job was to build some panels for the upper walls. I found some thin masonite, which was fairly light, but unfortunately not long enough to cover the length, so I had to make separate pieces and join them. I measured the square dimensions of the gaps, then traced around the curves with paper. Finally, joining the panels with more masonite. Sadly, I've lost a heap of footage. As you can see here, the build has progressed. The lower wall panels are filled with earth wool as insulation. The upper wall panels are fitted and the van interior has been carpeted. I found a really great video on how to carpet a van. I'll be sure to add a link somewhere here. The job seems daunting at first, but it's not actually that hard once you get going, and the end result is really satisfying, don't you think? The bed top is pretty simple. 7mm plyboard offcuts, trimmed to fit. I left a gap in the centre as a means to access some storage space behind the drawers, but also to allow airflow to the mattress. The blocks to the sides are to keep the mattress in the centre. It's about 10 centimetres of space either side of the mattress for storage. If you have any questions about anything you see here, feel free to reach out, either via email or jump in the comments section below. I'll be happy to help you in any way I can. Thanks for watching.